you joining us today are familiar with what we do at the credit union in terms of the products that we offer to help you manage your money. Auto loans, checking accounts, savings accounts. I hope that you guys are also familiar with our branch of the financial services that help you manage your retirement, your investments, and your protection options like life insurance. So that is what we are going to be focusing on today, and we have some great folks with us to help us do just that. I'm going to introduce Michelle Bradley, one of our CFS financial advisors, to let us know what we're going to be talking about today and introduce our presenter. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Thank you. And thank you all for joining us today. If you haven't been to one of our branches lately, or if you have, hopefully you still know that we are celebrating Life Insurance Awareness Month. That is every September. And here at the credit union, we're trying to make a big splash about that month so that every September you will put it on your calendar to review the policies you have and to ask yourself some important questions about, have I had a triggering event that requires me to take a look at my coverage and what I do have to make sure that you're protected. With that said, we're very honored today to have a specialist in life insurance that we work directly with on a daily basis. He's one of our partners at CUSO. He's a senior sales director at Simplicity Life. And I know Romney and I lean on him very much when it comes to designing and personalizing policies, because there is not one specific way to create the appropriate coverage for everyone. So anyway, I hope today's webinar will answer questions that you have and also inspire you to connect with your financial advisor, whoever that may be, to review the policies that you have or may need. If you don't have a financial advisor, know that Romney Garner and myself, Michelle Bradley, we're here at the Schaefer Street branch and available to you at any time. And with that, I'd like to introduce Steve Ruberg. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you again for the time, the opportunity, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Steve Ruberg. I'm a sales director for all things life insurance with Simplicity Life. Very quick background on who we are, what we do, how we help support Michelle Bradley and Romney Gardner at Ohio University Credit Union. We're a life insurance brokerage operation. What that means to you is we are life insurance experts, and we are the back office support for Michelle and Romney. All we do is life insurance. That means when you go to Michelle and you go to Romney, we have access, and they have access to over 40 life insurance companies. And that means when you go to them, you're getting the absolute right product, the absolute right solution for your situation. You can't say that in all of the particular situations that you may come across with the life insurance industry. You know, sometimes you may go down the street to your insurance agent. I'll throw out a few names. Say it's a State Farm or an Allstate. Unfortunately, in those situations, they have very limited products, and you're stuck with one carrier that you're working with. In our situation, we get to shop the very best products, the very best carriers that are out there to fit your specific needs. Think of it as just as though you went to get a mortgage when you purchasing your new home. Now, you get to go to a mortgage broker and find the absolute best mortgage rate from the best lender to pick the very best house of your choice. So with that said, we can help do the same thing on our end, again, by going to Michelle and Romney at Ohio University Credit Union. So September is a very exciting month for us in the life insurance community because there's so much awareness created around life insurance. And life insurance can mean so many things to so many people. It can help protect your family. It can help protect your business for those of you listening that are business owners, which are going through, so many things right now. And for those of you that have an estate, some estate issues, challenges right now, for those of you that are trying to protect your financial plan with all the market turmoil, ups and downs, boy, that's an important role to play with life insurance, helping protect that financial plan. Again, another very important role that Romney and Comichelle can play as well. So there's some other items that can often be overlooked with life insurance as well, is that many people hear life insurance and what do you think? You often think death insurance. It can be somewhat of a morbid topic, right? It's like car insurance. A benefit is only paid if something really bad happens, somebody passes away. With that said, some things can be overlooked, some unique benefits, such as some living benefits of life insurance that you may not be aware of. There are some living tax benefits with life insurance that are often overlooked, such as some unique living tax benefits for those of you that are high income earners, or maybe business owners that are looking to take advantage of tax benefits. Those of you that have a lot of qualified dollars and are looking to maximize wealth transfer. So if you have a lot of dollars in an IRA or for some qualified accounts. Or how about those of you that are tuning in and are worried about long-term care costs? There are some unique long-term care riders that can be added onto life insurance. These are things that can help protect you while you're alive that are on life insurance. So, the first thing I'd ask you is to try to get the initial thoughts of death insurance out of your head, because life insurance can provide a lot of really unique and exciting living benefits to go along with what you already know with the death benefit. So, and we are dealing with some really challenging, unique times right now. And there's some very morbid conversations going on, obviously, with COVID-19. There's some very obvious questions that are asked in the life insurance industry of, well, can I get life insurance right now? With social distancing, do I have to do a medical exam with life insurance? And the short answer is absolutely. The doors are open. The insurance companies have a bigger appetite for life insurance than they ever have. And in fact, many insurance companies now are making it easier to get life insurance than they ever have, because they realize that you may want to social distance and not meet with an examiner, meet with a nurse to get life insurance. And they're making it easier for younger, healthier individuals to get insurance. So they're opening the gates a little bit more than they used to. Now, with all of that said, for some of the individuals, to be very transparent, if you have some underlying conditions that make you more susceptible to COVID-19, that may make it more of a challenge to get life insurance. I just want to, again, be very transparent. So there's some pros and cons to everything that's gone on in the last 6 months with COVID-19 and the life insurance industry. So again, that's when you can turn to Comichelle, turn to Romney. There's a way that we can help pre-qualify and pre-screen you or a loved one to see if you can get life insurance without going through the hassle of underwriting or filling out an application. You can simply give us a quick overview of your medical background and see if you could potentially qualify, again, without going through all of the hassle of paperwork and things like that. So a general overview, and we can give you a pretty good idea and go from there. So, but hey, let's dive right into it. That's why I'm here today, is to talk about the life insurance basics and things that everyone needs to know, like what kind of life insurance do I need? What can life insurance do? What are the different types of life insurance policies out there? And finally, the ins and the outs of purchasing and maintaining life insurance. So we'll briefly touch base on how to buy life insurance, how much you need, and looking for the right life insurance company that can provide you what you need. So understanding the fundamentals of life insurance will help you be an informed consumer, and you'll be better equipped to make those decisions about choosing and buying the right type of life insurance, which is something you'll definitely want to consider at some point in your life. Now, we all want to understand, I should say, what we're buying at some point in time with life insurance, and we research anything that we purchase, right? If we're researching a vehicle, I know right now I did an extensive amount of research for a treadmill that my wife and I are going to be purchasing soon, and I know about a month ago I did way too much research when I had to buy a new set. I say I had to, but I chose to buy a new set of golf clubs. For anything, we do an extensive amount of research online when it comes to purchasing something. And the same amount of research should be done with life insurance. It's just common sense. With that said, what we've found is that consumers' top two purchase considerations with life insurance is number one, understanding what they're buying, and number two, being able to determine how much coverage that they're buying. And would you believe that 40%, this is according to some LIMRA stats, LIMRA is a third-party life insurance nonprofit organization, but according to LIMRA, 40% of all consumers haven't purchased life insurance because they're unsure of either A, how much, or B, what type of life insurance to buy. And those of you listening in on this call may be in that same boat. So it's true that it's so important to understand how life insurance works. And if you're part of that 40%, if you don't know how much you need, what type to buy, that's where you can turn to Michelle, turn to Romney after this call, and shoot them an email, give them a call. They'll be able to walk you through that. But we're going to go through a few of those basics to give you a general idea. So let's start at the beginning. Now, what is life insurance anyways? The Webster's, if Webster's dictionary still exists, but if you could look online, maybe a physical copy doesn't exist anymore, but the Webster's definition is pretty basic. It's a type of insurance that pays money to the family of someone who has died. Now, that was true in the early 1800s when it was designed to help widows and orphans when the head of a household died. But today, life insurance is so much more. It's considered a valuable planning tool. And that's why Michelle and Romney play such a large role, is because it helps protect an overall financial plan. And policies, life insurance policies, offer many different features and options, as I mentioned before, that can help protect you while you're living, those living benefits. And here's a pretty sobering fact. This is pretty intimidating. I've got 3 children, and for those of you tuning in that have kids, this is pretty intimidating as well. But it takes, as of 2019, it takes an estimated $233,000 to raise a child born in 2019. That's cumulative throughout their lifetime. But without the income or wage earner of the head of a household, could a surviving spouse cover this cost? So think about that. If you're the head of a household, or your spouse is, if one of you were to pass away, think if you have 2 or 3 children, could that surviving spouse take care of the family, take care of that child should one of you pass away? Think of the things like child care, maintaining your vehicle, house payments, paying off debts. And even if you're single, for those of you that are tuning in and you maybe don't have a spouse or children, could your relatives afford a funeral, final expenses, any debts, student loan debt, things like that? Those are the things to consider that are often overlooked. So let's break it down and look at a few of those areas. What can life insurance do in terms of providing some value in a few different areas? What are some of the different ways it can replace income, help fund retirement, and protect your estate and business? So number one, it will replace income. If you were to predecease a spouse and help fund your child's education, replace mortgage debt, replace the income of a deceased spouse. So those are for the younger individuals that are listening, 20s, 30s, 40s. For those of you that are listening that are in your 50s or 60s, those of you that are relying on, say, Social Security income, if one of you were to pass away, relying on that Social Security income to help fund your retirement, if one of you passes away, you do lose Social Security income from the other. You get to take the higher of the two Social Security if you're both receiving Social Security, but you do lose one of the two. So that's something to consider. Without that income from the spouse, does that impact your retirement? So supplementing your retirement for those of you listening in your 50s or 60s. Those individuals in your 50s or 60s, maybe even younger, but those of you that are business owners that are listening, how are you protecting your business? Is there any kind of a succession plan that is in place? Do you have any key individuals or an executive benefit plan? Life insurance has a lot of unique benefits that can help play a role into that. For those of you that are listening that are maybe 60 or 70 plus years old, for estate preservation, wealth transfer, there's some really unique benefits with life insurance that can help maximize in a very safe way, maximize estate preservation and estate planning. So now that we've laid out the foundation by defining really what life insurance is, let's look at the different types of life insurance policies and what they can provide to you and your loved ones. So to keep it very simple, there's two different types of life insurance. There's term and there's permanent. Term insurance, generally speaking, is less expensive, and you only receive a death benefit for a limited time frame. So the coverage is for a limited time frame. Often that's 10, 20, or 30 years. Permanent insurance, obviously, is for a permanent time frame, so it goes for the life of the life of the policy owner or the insured. So you'll have coverage for your entire life, but also has additional value. And what comes with that is cash accumulation. Additional value in the sense that there's some flexibility. The best analogy I can use in comparing term versus permanent is renting an apartment versus owning a house. There's no right or wrong. For some policy owners or some clients, renting an apartment is a better fit for their situation versus owning a house. Now, with renting an apartment, typically, in most situations, rent is a little bit cheaper renting an apartment versus that higher mortgage payment of owning a house, right? It's a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower. However, with renting an apartment, the landlord can increase that rent over time, correct? Same thing goes with term life insurance. With term life insurance, the cost can and will go up over time. It starts out real low, but it'll go up over time. It'll increase. Also, with renting that apartment, you do not build any equity and there are no tax benefits. You're not able to build up any equity. You know, the equity is with the landlord that owns that apartment building. And there are no tax benefits. You're not able to write off your rent payment as a tax deduction. So the primary benefit is, again, with renting that apartment is the same as with term insurance. It's very low cost initially. As sacrifice for that, you have limited living benefits and tax benefits. Now with permanent insurance, much like owning the house, it's a higher mortgage payment or higher premium initially. But what comes with that is you do have some ownership, you have some equity. So it builds some cash value, much like you build equity inside of your home. You also get some tax benefits in the sense that while you're able to deduct your mortgage interest I'm not telling you you can deduct your life insurance premium payment. There are some possibilities with that. If you're a business owner, we won't go down that path. Keep that in the back of your mind if you are a business owner listening. You talk to Michelle or Romney about that. But you do have some tax benefits with your cash value with permanent insurance. You can potentially access the cash value, the equity inside of your permanent life insurance plan tax-free. For those of you that are familiar with how a Roth IRA works, it's a little bit similar. You can access your principal plus your interest tax-free. So you can see some of the pros and the cons, again, of renting that apartment versus owning that home. And that's, again, the best analogy I can use to compare term versus permanent. And if you're interested in going for the permanent versus the term, that's something that can be decided and walked through with Michelle and with Romney. And sometimes it's a combination. I can speak in my situation. I personally own a little bit of term insurance and a little bit of permanent. Everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of folks would like to have all permanent, but it can be fairly expensive. So maybe that's a situation where, depending on your budget, you would have some permanent and some term, a combination thereof. It just depends on your situation. So hopefully that gives you a high-level overview of term versus permanent. Now, if we take a look at the different categories of permanent life insurance, we're not going to get, I don't want to make your head spin and get caught in the weeds on a lot of the different permanent life insurance plans. But if you have heard of, whether you've got a brother, sister, cousin, or someone in the financial services or life insurance industry, you may have heard of these different types of plans. There's whole life, universal life, index universal life, and variable universal life. These are all different types of permanent life insurance. The differences between the few, again, that's something that Romney and Michelle can help get into with you, but the differences are all between risk and reward. Quite often, we tend to lean towards whole life because those are, whole life can often be the safest. You've got great rewards with minimal risk. A variable is higher risk, higher reward. Quite often, I'm a believer, and so is Romney and Michelle, that if you want to be high risk, high reward, maybe you should do that in a managed account in your investments in a financial plan. Let insurance be one of your safer accounts. But with that said, everybody is different. So that's a quick overview of the different types of permanent insurance that are out there. Now, with term life insurance, there are different lengths of term that are available, and this is really catered towards how long you need the coverage. So if you've got a short-term need for coverage, say you've got a 10 years left on your mortgage, maybe you just need 10 years of term life insurance. So term life insurance often is offered in terms of 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 years. So it's for a short-term need and can be catered to fit, again, exactly what you need. Now, to reinforce with term life insurance, you have zero living benefit. It's very simple and structured. The policy anatomy of how it works. You've got you pay X amount of premium, you get Y amount of death benefit, and there is zero amount of living benefit on there. There's no cash value. So who is term life insurance designed for? It's perfect for someone with a limited budget, often for younger individuals with a family, short-term needs, and can be used to supplement that existing insurance policy, whether you have something through your employer or an existing contract that's already in place. With whole life insurance or some forms of permanent insurance, if we look at the policy anatomy of that, you're going to have you pay X amount of premium, you get Y amount of death benefit, but then you have Z amount of cash value off to the side. That cash value can be used to help pay for college, can be help to pay for retirement, can help pay for emergencies, pay for medical expenses, pay for emergencies. You can use that cash value typically tax-free, penalty-free for many different reasons, and you can access that cash value in the forms of loans and or withdrawals. So again, when we talk about those living benefits, those come out of the cash value of the life insurance policy's cash value. So very, very valuable. So why would you consider permanent insurance? Again, if you want that coverage for life insurance, you need that protection long-term, have access to the cash, and it's more for some advanced planning needs. So again, those of you that are listening that are business owners, have some estate planning needs, and have that additional budget, or some higher income earners that are looking for some more complex planning, permanent life insurance can be a great fit to utilize some more unique features of life insurance. So we've spent some time covering individual life insurance solutions, coverage you purchase on your own, but I'd also like to briefly touch base on another way to purchase life insurance, and that's group coverage. And we want to point that out because, quite frankly, there's plenty of you that are probably on this call that either have group coverage or have been offered group coverage by their employer. So it's important to point out some of the pros and the cons of group coverage that you may have versus what we're discussing, some individual coverage that you could purchase, again, through Camichelle or Romney, through Ohio University Credit Union. Now, the amount of coverage and the premiums may vary on this, but the policy usually ends when your employer does with group coverage. So how do these types of coverage compare? Now, group is usually less expensive than individual because the rate is based on sheer volume and risk spread across the group. Now, with group coverage, there's no health assessments, and gender is not a factor in the rate. Now, that's lower cost initially. However, that typically increases over time. So if you're 30 years old, you may have lower costs initially for group coverage, but that's going to go up over time. You should see the cost and how it skyrockets when you hit 40, 50, 60 years old. So that's something to consider. Maybe lower costs initially, but increases. Now with group coverage, the employer determines the coverage limits. So you can buy more coverage, but will probably need a health assessment. Individual needs and health status determine that additional coverage. And you can often purchase additional insurance riders. So that's determined by the employer. So with individual coverage, this is something that you can determine. You can determine how much coverage you need through a thorough needs analysis, through Camichelle or Romney. And one of the most important factors is it's transferable. You own the individual coverage versus with group coverage, it's not transferable. You're not able to take that with you. So if you leave your employer, unfortunately, you're leaving your life insurance coverage with them. So it's something very important to consider, especially if you are moving from employer to employer. So life insurance certainly isn't one size fits all. That's why it's so important to work with a licensed insurance professional, again, like Camichelle or Romney Garner, not only when you first buy life insurance, but throughout your lifetime to maintain that proper amount of coverage. And that's why it's important to maintain the maintenance of life insurance policy. It's not just about initially purchasing it. Now, I would encourage all of you that currently have life insurance to think about the last time that you spoke with your insurance agent. If you bought that State Farm or Allstate policy 2 years ago, 10 years ago, when's the last time you spoke with your insurance agent about your current coverage? Are your beneficiaries lined up the way that you need them to be? Is the current amount of coverage you have sufficient? Is there better coverage out there? Is it less expensive? Coverage has changed over the last 2 years, 10 years. People are living longer. Coverage now may be less expensive than it was, again, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. So how much life insurance coverage do you need? Your agent will help you do a needs analysis which will provide the framework for your overall plan. Another analysis on what type of life insurance is the best for you, the type of coverage that we went through, and then how much the premiums will cost. Those vary depending on the insurance company and the type of product that you're choosing. So I'd highly encourage any of you that currently have an insurance policy to turn to Camichelle or Romney for a life insurance policy review. There's no cost for that. All you'd have to do is take the most recent statement that you would have. It doesn't matter if it's 2 months old or 2 years old, just a recent statement, and send that over to Camichelle or Romney to have them review it. Ultimately, it's something that we would look at, say, okay, you're paying X amount of premiums, you have Y amount of cash value for Z amount of death benefit. Given your goals, given your need for insurance, could we do something better for you? Is there a company or carrier out there that could help accomplish your goals more effectively? So it's important to look at all the different factors out there, such as, is the company you're with right now financially strong and stable, or could we find a carrier out there that, for your situation, puts you in a better position to be safe, to be strong, that delivers on the promises that they're making to you, has a customer-first philosophy, that's treating you the way that you need to be treated. So again, as an independent advisor, Camichelle and Romney Gardner are able to put you in a position where we're making sure that you've got, the absolute best product, the absolute best carrier out there to give you the service that's needed. So I cannot stress the importance of having an independent advisor reviewing that for you. That way you know you're getting the best fit. So purchasing life insurance should not be a one-time transaction. As you get older, your life changes. Anytime something changes, a major change in your life, chances are the change for your need for life insurance comes into play. Maybe you have too much insurance. Maybe we could scale it back. Maybe you don't have enough insurance. So as you get older and your life changes, so will your life insurance needs. Your family, your job, retirement, as your life unfolds, it will have a direct impact on your life insurance needs. So it's important that you and your advisor review your coverage periodically to make sure you have the most relevant and beneficial life insurance at every stage in your life. So take a look at a few of these on the screen. I think if you've had any of these changes since you originally purchased life insurance, if you have life insurance, and again, if you've had any of these changes or anything similar to that come to mind, again, that could be a reason to have your insurance position reviewed. So I know the topic of life insurance can be a lot of information to absorb over the last 30 minutes here, but I hope this conversation has been beneficial. Before we close, let's just do a quick recap of everything that we've covered today. We started out by learning that life insurance can be used to cover a variety of expenses, first and foremost as a death benefit for you and your beneficiaries. Then we debunked the myth that life insurance isn't just used in the event of death. In fact, there are several life insurance products that can offer you a supplemental source of cash value and living benefits throughout your lifetime. And then after talking about these products and the benefits and features they provide, we talked about what to look for when you're ready to purchase a policy, both in the life insurance product itself, but also what to look for in a trustworthy, life insurance company and financial advisor. So we wrapped up the section by understanding how to ensure your policy continues to meet your needs over the course of a lifetime. So, if you're asking yourself, what should I do next? I'd say the number one thing to do is contact your financial representative, a life insurance agent, to begin that life insurance discussion. You'll start with that needs analysis. That's the start for the basis for an overall strategy in helping you decide what type of life insurance policy will best meet your current and future needs. And again, there's not a better time to do it than now with Life Insurance Awareness Month here in September. So I know we're pushing right up against that 30-minute mark, so I really appreciate everyone's time. But I want to open it up for some Q&A and kick it back over to Michelle and anyone else that has some input. So any questions at this point, Michelle? Anything else to add at this point?
No, I think you did a wonderful job of summing up the different types and the reasons why someone would want to have their advisor look at their policies or run a quote for them. I will say that it's very easy to make it happen, but it's also not something that we would encourage an email that says, how much do I need? I'm X amount. I'm X years old or whatever. I mean, it does require a conversation because, to get to know the person, it's not like something you can just go buy from a shelf. So do expect when you do talk to your advisor, if they don't ask you a lot of questions and just give you a quote, I would be a little leery of something like that because it's just probably not a very comprehensive way of checking out your true need.
Thanks, Michelle. And I am going to just encourage anyone who's got a question, you can put that in the Q&A or in the chat, and we can get that over to Steve and Michelle and make sure that we get you an answer. So please feel free to go ahead and do that. Chat us in if you have any kind of question that we can help you with. Well, Steve, I think you might have done an excellent job because I am not, I enjoyed the information and I am not getting a lot of questions from our participants. So we'll give you just a couple more minutes to get those questions in if you have them. We do have Romney Garner, who is another one of our CFS financial advisors and the manager of our financial services program on the call with us today. So I'm just going to ask Romney, do you have anything that you want to add to our conversation this afternoon?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello. No, I think Steve and Michelle did an excellent job. I think the overview, which I've heard a bunch of times on this call, is with it being Life Insurance Awareness Month, it's not the most fun topic to talk about, but just focus on getting your stuff together and having it reviewed, and making sure it's all in place, because I find more often than not, it's kind of interesting that a lot of times we don't have beneficiaries up to date and just kind of get some surprises, or that term's closer to ending than you thought it was when you originally purchased it. So it's important to review it, and it's a good time to do it with it being September. It's a really good check-in because a lot of times our open enrollment's coming up through work as well. So if you know what you have outside of work, that can help you update those decisions when you're reviewing that with your current employer as well. That's all I have. Thanks for your time today, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Romney. And Steve, we did have a question come in through our chat, and that's in regards to the slides being available for folks to reference. Is it okay if we make those available to participants today?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Great. So yes, thank you so much for your question. We will make the slides available for reference. I can send those out by email. And then also we have been recording today's presentation. And I know we covered a lot of information. So if you want to reference something that Steve said, we'll have the slides and the recording available for you to take a look at. Great. So thank you so much for joining us. I think we'll be able to stick around here maybe for just a few more minutes and see if any questions do come up. But if you do not have any questions, please feel free to exit the meeting. We really appreciate you joining us. On your way out, you should have an opportunity to download a life insurance awareness Life Happens brochure with some additional information in there if you want to take a look at that as well. If you have any questions, I will be sending out a follow-up email that we can definitely get in touch with Michelle, Romney, or Steve to get answers if they arise after you've kind of signed off the call today. Thank you so much for joining us.